This is the one that needed a repair. And if you want to know about the repair and what happened, you have to go back and look at an earlier video. It's a couple back, but take a look at that because I'm about to show you how it got repaired. And basically what had happened was the Ghost pickup, one of the saddles broke. It just snapped on one of the legs. They just broke, which is highly unusual. Not something you see very often, if you see it at all. I would have never believed it would break there, but nevertheless it did. And so then I thought you could just replace the saddle, and it turned out, yes, you can replace the saddle, but it comes with a wire attached to that. This one here is the old one, and it's been cut, but this was the saddle part here, well, part of it anyways. As you can see, it was broken off. But I didn't anticipate this part and the fact that you have to follow it through and plug it in someplace inside the guitar. And so when you look inside the guitar, it was packaged so neatly and so well. It wasn't like, oh, there's the plug. I could just plug it in right there. There was a lot more to it. So certainly you'll hear about how I got a hold of companies. I've talked to both of them. I got the part. I got recommendations on a Hollywood store that I could take it to, Hollywood, California, and they had an expert there on Ghosts that could actually repair it for a price. But what happened was I did try to reach them, and I sent them an email. I didn't get a response. I tried to call them and I couldn't get an answer. So I started looking locally and found someone in the Vacaville area, Vacaville, California. And his name is Mike, and he owns Ad Astra Guitar Services. And so if you're looking for a absolutely fantastic luthier to work on your acoustic or your electric, he does both in terms of repairs. He's actually phenomenal and very competent, very easy to work with, very responsive. I mean, you get emails and calls and, communication, all you need. After all, you're leaving your guitar with somebody. So he takes that serious, and he does have a very nice area that he's working in, and he does just a great job. So I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled to find someone that's competent like Mike is, to add to my list of places I can go to do these types of work. I would bring something to him in the future, no questions asked. In fact, when I was working with him to get it fixed, he agreed to doing some video clips of the repair. So I'm going to share them with you, and for a reason. I think there's not much out there on the repair of the Ghost pickup. And so when you're buying a Ghost pickup, you have no idea, if it's not that important, you really, personally, I would question whether or not that's really the pickup you should be putting in your guitar. No offense to Graphtec, it's an awesome pickup. It's just that it's not like putting in an LR Baggs hi-fi duet. It's all there. You could take it out, put it in. It's no big deal. This becomes more of a big deal. So if something needs to be repaired, it's not as simple. So he does electric guitars, and so this was something he felt very comfortable with working on. And he did find a way to work through these two plates here and get the job done and do it well without having to unbundle the whole thing. And so I'm going to show you those video clips and let you see for yourself how it was done. He did an awesome job. And again, I highly recommend Mike. And if you're interested in work from him, just put that in the Google search engine. He'll come up. And his name is Ad Astra Guitar Services. Ad Astra means to the stars, and he lived up to his name. He definitely set a goal and was able to reach beyond it and do a great job. In fact, I have to say beyond because he's kind of a second miler, above and beyond kind of guy, because while he was in there, he realized that the pots on this guitar were dirty. So he took it apart and cleaned them for me and put it all back together. And so now when you turn, it's on right now, you don't hear anything. I don't get that crackly sound that I was getting because it's clean. And so, yeah, it was good to get it serviced, and it was good to get this fixed, and absolutely excellent to find a wonderful luthier named Mike from Ad Astra in Vacaville, California area. So, so I'm going to share those video clips with you now so you can see how it was fixed, and I think you'll find it real interesting. I did anyways, and you can see how well he works as well. So I'm going to leave it right there. So I'm going to put those clips in here right now and let you take a look at them. Don't forget, members, we have a Zoom call coming up on Thursday of this week. If you didn't get your link, send me an email. I'll send it again because I've sent them all out. And okay, so let's leave it right there. And I hope you have a great day or night wherever you are in this world.
Maybe I don't need to take all the controls, all of these out, which I'd be very happy about. Maybe I can just get the wire from here to here. Because Emerald has glued so much of these electronics together, which is great in terms of, like, you know, the instrument vibrating and rattling and things coming loose and all that kind of stuff. It's good that these things are all very thoroughly fastened on there, but it also makes it very difficult to work on. So I was planning on taking this battery housing and preamps and taking them through, unclipping them and taking them through this hole and pulling everything out through the sound hole. But because of the way this is all put together, I really don't want to fuss with it. I already have to fuss with it a little bit just to replace the piezo wire. And I think that's all I'm gonna do. I don't want to mess with all this. I don't want to take all this apart. So, because I can't get it through here, and meaning I can't take it out the sound hole either, I think what I'm going to do is try to take all the electronics, including the control knobs, and bring them out through this hole so that I don't have to take any of this apart. I think that's what I'm going to try to do. disengaged the wire clip, taken off the MIDI jack, push that in, and now that the wire clip has been disengaged, I can pull this a little bit more. And I've also disengaged the output jack. Okay. So now I might be able to get this wire disconnected and reconnect the new one. Now, because they did such an excellent job of zip tying the wires, not only here but at numerous points throughout the wiring harness, it's not easy for me to distinguish which one of these belongs to the 4th string saddle. So I think what I'm going to do is snip it at the saddle, and then once I can see and push it through into the interior, and once I can see which one that is, I might be able to slip it through the zip ties and slowly pull it out until I can see which one of these, and I'm assuming it's in order in terms of 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th string on here, but I want to be sure. I want to make sure that I'm replacing the exact same one in the exact same position. So I think I'm going to snip it from here, pull it through, and then put in the new one. See how that goes. Now I'm going to cut the piezo wire. And gently tug until I can see what I need to see. I think I'm actually going to try to feed it through a little bit. Okay, at least I can tug on it and see which one's which. What I need is not forceps. What I need is something like a hook. Okay. Feels like that's about as far as it wants to go with all those zip ties. So this is a little unfortunate. I think I may have to snip one of those zip ties, but I'm not sure how I'm going to reach it. Maybe I can get away with not doing it. Okay. This might have to be permanently removed. This little sticky foam they have on there. Oh, nice. They actually have the strings numbered, so I know which one to take out. So we're looking at number 4. Still trying to get this adhesive from the foam off of there so I can remove the piezo lead from the preamp. Yeah, I'm gonna have to remove the foam from the backside too, because it's all kind of keeping them in place. Maybe this backside one I won't have to destroy and remove entirely. Maybe I can just peel it back just enough, because I'd like to put it back on there because it does provide some stability for those wires not to come loose through vibration. And try to separate all the other wires from the ones we're interested in. Make it a little easier to pull it out. I might need my forceps for this. I don't like pulling on the wires with the forceps, but kind of have to. Okay, so now we have the 4th string piezo lead wire disconnected from the preamp and cut here at the saddle. So let's try to pull this through. I doubt I'm going to be able to pull it through the zip ties with the string attached. But here's the hoping. Man, that string just wants to get caught on everything. Right now it's caught on the wire clip that I disengaged. Okay, didn't come out with the wire, with the string, but that's okay because we can retrieve the string and pull it out this way and then reconnect. Alright, got a little bit of thread, overhand knot, tied to the end of the replacement saddle. Gonna feed the thread through the saddle hole. And then use my nifty little grabber to go in and grab that thread. Need to feed it through a little bit more. Pull the thread through. And gently feed the end of the new piezo wire through the saddle hole. Use my forceps to navigate around all the other cabling in there. Okay, and then we have it out. Now, I haven't attached or clipped all of the various zip ties that go throughout this electronics harness because I couldn't possibly fit this little nub through snug zip ties. And I don't want to unclip everything because it's nice and neat. So what I think I'm going to do is just lay this over the other wires and then put another zip tie around those. We'll see how that goes. Going to remove the thread. And reattach this. Ooh, snap, I forget which direction it goes. Goes out. Gently trying to reconnect this. Sorry if that's not a good angle. I'm trying to reconnect. Trying to reconnect this guy onto here. That seems secure. Now we put this back on. And before I reattach everything, I'm going to want to put the battery back in and make sure that piezo works. I know this isn't the right hole, but it's accessible. So I'm going to use it. Sounds like it's working so far. Okay. Let's put a string on it. See what it does. Okay. Let's put on that D string. Take a listen. This is why I kept the old strings on testing purposes. Testing purposes. String's pretty low. I gotta raise that saddle. So let's see how the piezo works. Sounds like we got something working there. That's the piezo volume that I'm turning on and off. So we look like we're in good shape so far. Now, after having done all this, I'm now feeling like I do not need to remove these controls to replace this, because I didn't have to take everything out through the sound hole. But I will end up needing to remove these controls just to spray deoxit contact cleaner in there because they're a bit dirty. So I'll deal with that later. I don't think I needed to take this out. I think there was enough there that I could have left it attached and still gotten this much room to work with the new cabling. But, you know, you don't know these things until you try it, and you try to give yourself enough freedom of movement right off the gate as you can get. So I automatically assumed that that needed to be removed. I think it was probably good to remove this. And obviously, I had to remove this. But I did not need to remove the controls to replace that wire through the sound hole, which I thought what I was going to have to do. Going through here is what made the most sense and was not too bad. I still need to zip tie this new wire to the whole harness, just so it's not flopping around in there. But I'm going to do that and then screw everything back in and go from there. Old 1/4-inch audio cable fed through the output jack into the guitar and out through the MIDI control hole. Plug it into the output jack, feeding it back into the interior. And pulling it out through here. But I am not even close to done. I have to figure out a way to keep it from going back in while I get the washer and nut back on. Now I've got the auto jack plugged back in there. It's got enough friction holding the jack in place that I can thread the nut. Okay, still need to tighten that up though. Okay, now that I've got all the electronic components reattached to the back here. We're going to test the electronics as far as we can, make sure things work as we think they should. I don't have a way to test the MIDI, but I am going to test the magnetic pickup and the piezos. So in this position with volumes up, should be just the magnetic pickup. Magnetic pickup volume. And then in the middle position, mag and piezo. Just piezo volume off, just mag volume off, and then this position is just piezo. Now that pot is pretty dirty, so even though I didn't have to take this control panel off to replace the saddle, I am going to need to take it off to squirt some deoxit contact cleaner into there to get rid of that scratchiness, because that sucks. Okay, before I even bother putting it back in there, let's hear how it sounds. Still scratchy. Getting better, but no, still got some ugly scratchiness in there. Let's try a little bit more de-exit. Alright, I have flooded that thing with the accent now. And we may have solved 99% of that scratchiness. Maybe flush a little bit more just for good measure. Yeah, it's still a little scratchy sometimes, but I think that's as good as we're going to get. Alright, let's put it back into its mounting holes. Get these all reattached. Let's start with these guys. These pot shafts are not all the same kind. Dimensions, so different washers go in different ones. The middle one is a solid shaft, whereas the outer two are split shaft. Not sure why. I'm sure there's a good reason. Trying to hold it from the back end inside the guitar while I press on it from the outside, trying to get the nuts on there. But I'm also trying to be careful of the wiring inside where I'm pressing, right near where I'm pressing, because I don't want to disconnect or tear off anything. I turn that amp off now, for the moment at least. Alright, let's get these knobs back on. Before I tighten it down too much, I want to make sure that it's centered and a little bit above the finish of the guitar. shafts are a little bent. See if you can see that. See how that shaft, the grub screw has applied enough pressure to the shaft that it's actually compressed it more than it should be. So I'm gently trying to shape it back without snapping off the shaft. Okay, so I'm going to have to make sure that when I put that direction, but I put it on in this direction so it doesn't compress those together. Grub screw is here. Back it out. I think I'll have this be horizontal. That way I can line up the grub screw so it doesn't compress the split shaft. Okay, 1 down, 2 to go. The solid shaft doesn't matter, so I'm just going to try to roughly line it up so that the grub screws all kind of point the same way. Okay, turn the amp back on and let's see how it sounds. Wait, did these get turned? How did those get turned? They used to be this direction. How did that guy get turned? Okay, well, that has to get fixed. But let's check the volume. Nice and clean now. Okay, well, that being turned is frustrating, but we'll fix it.